So what is the United Nations about, and who do we talk to? Well, our interview partner is a former high-ranking member of the United Nations. His name is Călin Georgescu. It is best to talk to someone who knows from personal experience what he's talking about, rather than to talk to someone who just has ideas about what is going on inside the United Nations.
Well, I serve this institution 17 years, almost 18. I start in Romania, in the United Nations Development Program, which gave to me the chance to understand, first of all, the system. I was director to coordinate the Romanian National Sustainable Development Strategy and Local Agenda 21, which I did for almost 40 counties in Romania. I arrived to different, let's say, events in New York and after that in Geneva, in many other countries, and I arrived also in the board for Europe in the United Nations Environmental Program. I had a chance to have many meetings, many interviews, and particularly to understand how is running this system. But I had the chance to arrive, let's say, to the key people to understand how can work this train. I was absolutely sure that United Nations is a fantastic institution which can help the people and the welfare and the human being, and to be a good life, to have a good life, and everything to be in harmony with the nature. Because this is my background, environmental protection. So based on my background, of course, I arrived to United Nations, and I arrived to be, let's say, call it a specialist in sustainable development. But later on, of course, I find how, in fact, the things are moving. Because particularly when you are going in the field, you find the reality. The reality is not from the office, not from the newspaper, not from the TV. It's from the ground. In the ground, I find that the most important part of the game, that the nature, the gods, the universe, give to us everything we want. Everything. So he can cover all our needs, but it's impossible to cover our greed. And the greed is not from the majority of the people. The greed is coming from a small part of the people. The main important cause is the oligarch, the world oligarch system.
Are they the one who control?
They want to have the control. And for this reason, UN is the platform, the bridge for the oligarchist system to control.
And the oligarchs are the ones who gather once a year in Davos, the members of the World Economic Forum?
Of course, this UN platform for 2030 with Davos agenda. And was set up in 1945 with one simple purpose, to keep the peace. What a fantastic purpose. The problem is not this. The problem is that in different meetings, which I participate myself, I have seen the peace very small, like a Cinderella in the corner. And she waits to have a chance to speak. And she never had this chance. She's just waiting, she's waiting, she's waiting. And in fact, all the discussions, they were for war. But they don't say war.
And why is that?
It was very manipulated.
Yes, everything stood on its head, right?
Exactly. And
when they say peace, they mean war. When they say justice, they mean injustice.
This is the point. Exactly like in sustainable development. I have been to most of the meetings, and official and unofficial, and negotiation. I can tell you how is the results. The results is that in the end of the day, is just one conclusion: how we can increase the consuming. And sometimes, of course, many of the events, the most important is the gala dinner, how we can arrive to the food. So to increase only the consuming side, it's very dangerous. Because in fact, this was exactly the same situation with the Club of Rome, another important NGO.
And you were also a member of the Club of Rome.
And also I was the president for Europe of the Club of Rome for almost 2.5 years in Vienna, in Austria.
And you encountered the same problem there.
Exactly, because they approach this vision that it's a limit. I mean, they find at that time that we are going too fast and too dangerous.
Exploiting the resources of the planet.
Yes, but in what sense? In a sense of greed. One is to exploit the natural resources, for example, in Ghana or in Guinea-Conakry. Why I say Guinea-Conakry? Because Guinea-Conakry, as I have seen myself in all the planet I have been, is one of the most richest country in the world. And it's very small. Very small, but it's fantastic rich.
I had no idea.
Fantastic. The best top of gold and other natural resources that are in Guinea-Conakry. So Guinea-Conakry, if they want to exploit the natural resources for themselves, this is fine. But if there are coming others from outside, this is a problem. So here we are with a natural resources exploitation, because majority of the countries in the world, they have no control for their own natural resources. It's exactly the system controlled by Davos, particularly with the same agenda as UN, exactly as I told you. And they control the natural resources, and people on the power, because I cannot say leaders, because it doesn't exist political leaders. People which they have the power, they are their employees. The world oligarchic system, they have the power on Europe because they control all the people like Bundeskanzler or president or prime minister or whatever there are. Because they are not the employee of their people.
They work for the other side.
Exactly.
They work for the oligarchs.
There are employees of the...
It's the oligarchs who control the UN.
It's the same. I mean, for this reason, doesn't exist correct political campaign. They put exactly the person who they...
No real elections anymore.
No, doesn't exist election. It's just on the paper. Because they know how they control this. And how can manipulate the mind of the people to vote exactly what they want. Donald Trump was a big shock.
They didn't expect that to happen. That was an accident, I suppose.
Absolutely an accident.
Not part of their game plan.
It was the first time of the oligarch system was what happened an accident. Because normally it have to be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Not Donald Trump.
Yeah. Thing is that the UN is now indistinguishable from the World Economic Forum, or Davos in short, because it is being controlled by the same ideas and the same oligarchs.
Totally, 100%. Totally.
And the World Economic Forum, in turn, creates their leaders who are then going to be elected by us through their Young Global Leaders program.
This is the point. In general, in United Nations, there are coming people which they check before if they are politically correct. But you have to be 100% totally correct, totally politically correct. If you are not, you cannot be in. They try to control you by salary.
Paying you a lot of money.
By different offers, in a sense that you have access, free access to the transport, free access to the restaurants, free access to different things. And in fact, it's a badge. UN badge does mean that you are someone important in comparison with the people from the street.
Oh.
You know, this, I mean...
So they make you feel not just richer than the people on the streets, but superior to them.
Exactly like in the banking system. Look to the young people who there are employees in the bank. He, in his car, he can see on the street his friend. I said, sorry, I have no time for you. I'm someone. I'm the banker. So they invest in manipulate the mind of the people. And in a moment when you manipulate the mind of the people, they sell their soul.
So even though if they may have started out with good intentions, they choose people who, as you said, are completely in line and are willing to sell their souls.
Correct. Exactly. They don't like to you or to your life to be beautiful, to be harmony. They like just the black. You have to be under control.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate, and rebalance our world. Rebalancing investment, harnessing science and technology, and advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset, are fundamental to building the future we need.
In other words, you know, Darwin said to us that we are coming from animals. The new Darwins,
The descendants of monkeys.
they said they are coming from robots. And here we are. I mean, we discuss about the transhumanist process, which those people, they want to impose. And how they can impose. They impose it when the people totally believe that this system internationally, which is somewhere high from you, take care about you. And only if what they are saying you have to respect, which is wrong, as they are trying to push us to dictate everything about our health.
There's just another NGO. No one there was elected by anyone.
No, they are just nominate.
Yes.
They are nominate in general the people who they are totally slave in their mind.
Yeah, that's the only reason I can find why someone like Tedros, who in his own country has committed crimes, why this man becomes the chairman of the World Health Organization. Only because no one elected him, but he's nominated. The UN, which could have been a great institution, but it was totally captured by the oligarchs who are running the show at the World Economic Forum.
Exactly like Club of Rome, exactly like WWF, exactly like Greenpeace. And we can have many examples like that.
Pretty much all of the NGOs, I would say.
Pretty much the biggest one, yeah. It's clear that NGO, by definition, non-governmental organization, which does mean the grassroots, the needs of the society, of the community, sorry.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
Should be. But this was immediately
taken over by the oligarchs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
so when we think that they're doing whatever they're doing for the good of the people, in reality, they're doing it for the oligarchs because they run the show.
Also, another NGO give money to another one. They support different other NGOs, but it's a very, very professional manipulation. Very professional. Very smart, very intelligent. Just a line. Very, very soft. You don't understand that you are part of the system. They arrive to the climate change, they arrive to the carbon credit, things which doesn't exist.
And this is all about money.
It's not a manipulation.
Because through the ICCP, they're creating more money out of nothing for themselves simply by lying to the people about climate change, which doesn't exist. Yes. I'm not saying this because this is what I think, but it's because the founder of Greenpeace, he holds several degrees, one of them in biology, I think, and he explained to us in great detail that climate change is a myth.
To impose a fear of the people and to accuse you.
That is always the major problem, fear, because that's what they're using. And in order to keep us in fear, they need to have all of their little tools in their toolbox. Climate change, global warming, all that. It's all a myth invented by the oligarchs so that they can make money and keep us in control. Is that the short version of what you're saying?
Exactly. How you can control the people. Control in the moment when you use the most important emotion, the fear. In the moment when you are controlling this emotion, you are the boss. And the people, they remain blocks in this situation. They don't understand that this is not part of the life. Normally, doesn't exist the fear in general. Exists just the courage. The courage doesn't mean the first step in consciousness. And they control this because they find that the people, they don't have to have the power to understand who they are. And this was the most important investment in the world. The society doesn't need you to be wise, because if you are wise, you are looking for freedom. And any society doesn't need you to be free. Because if you are free, doesn't mean that you have questions. You will be a rebel. You will be a lion. And they don't need this. They need ducks.
Their society doesn't need
sheep.
that.
Exactly.
Fear is the ultimate instrument of control then. In my presentation, I alluded to the question that they posed to Hermann Göring after the war, when they asked him, how was it possible for you to make a people of poets and scientists and writers into monsters? And he said, oh, it doesn't take much. It doesn't make a difference if it's a communist or a capitalist system. The only thing you need is fear.
United Nations headquarters, which was built in 1945 and financed largely by John D. Rockefeller. Inside UN headquarters is an ominous meditation room. The custodian of the meditation room is Lucis Trust Company. The Rockefeller-funded UN meditation room is 33 feet long and 18 feet wide. The small, dimly lit, windowless room was built in the shape of a pyramid that is laying on its side. At the center of the room is a 4-foot-high, black, casket-shaped stone slab which weighs 6.5 tons and is extremely magnetic and rests on a concrete pillar. The pillar descends beneath the floor into the bedrock and taps into the Earth's hyperdimensional energies to induce a state of altered consciousness. Not far from the meditation room is the United Nations Security Council chamber. This is the emergency room of the UN, where the world leaders meet when there is a threat to peace. They decide the fate of nations. Notice the giant mural that towers over the Security Council room. The central focus of the UN mural is the phoenix bird that has risen. The phoenix bird is a symbol of Lucifer. Egyptians believed that the phoenix symbolized a god who rose to heaven in the form of a morning star like Lucifer after his fire immolation of death and rebirth. Notice that the phoenix bird is not standing above his own ashes. He is standing above his old skin. Like a snake, he has shed his old skin and is revealing himself as God at the center of the mural. At the top left, there is a church steeple without a cross. The missing cross symbolizes the death of Christianity. Below, a woman receives the rays of the sun god, while the man in front of her plays Pan's flute. To their right are two pyramid symbols and people joined together by a long blue serpent-like cloth. Below the risen phoenix, a sword is driven through a dragon beast. This represents the killing of old beliefs and religions that depicted Lucifer as a beast. The New World religion worships him as beautiful. Behind the phoenix, the ghostly figures of the walking dead are stepping into a void. They symbolize depopulation. Right panel, the pale horse from the book of Revelation is the bringer of death to humanity through weapons, hunger, and disease. The man is releasing him. The chained black man represents slavery, while the top panel of the mural shows a technologically advanced white race who control industry, art, and science. In this post-apocalyptic mural, the military man standing on the tail of the beast represents worldwide military power. He tips his helmet to the elite, who are climbing out from underground cities where they safely hid from the apocalypse. In the main oval panel above the phoenix bird, a woman is holding flowers. She is the bride in a wedding ceremony. Could the newlyweds symbolize William and Kate? The serpent in human form is tempting the little girl Eve, who accepts the apple. On the right side of the top panel, a reptilian green creature with scaly skin is dancing with a naked woman while musicians entertain him. The general message of the UN's Phoenix Rising mural is that humanity is stepping into a new Luciferic reality. Beneath this disturbingly prophetic mural, world leaders make global decisions that affect the lives of nearly 7 billion people.
For me, the most important piece of this game, Rainer, is that what I have seen in UN to my colleagues is they don't have the power to say no, because they know that in the end of the month is someone who push a button and in his bank account there are coming a few $1,000s.
So it's all about money.
From me, in a sense that UN can have a fantastic role, but is not, because it's totally under control of the oligarchs. Mm-hmm. And they they try to push so hard this situation that I find in many cases that the people which they assume that they are the employees, no, I mean from top to the down or whatever, that are absolutely ridiculous slaves, in a sense that nobody can has the power to say no. Just yes men, everywhere.
Are there no exceptions to this rule?
No exception. And do you know how much costs per year the building in United Nations in Geneva, only in Geneva? It's 2.5 billion US dollar per year, just to keep this building with all the employees, with all the cost, with everything.
2.5 billion.
2.5 billion. What you are doing with 2.5 billion in Guinea-Conakry, by the way, we can rebuild all the country in one day. If the people, they understand what does mean the life today, all the governments, they disappear. They don't understand the life, because the life is not what we know today. For example, we are in the house, we wake up, we go to the job, we are going, our boss say that we are going to another country, we take a hotel, we take the plane. This is not the life. The life is totally different. The life is how we can approach the nature, how much we are staying with us, how much you talk with yourself, how much time you spend in one day just for you, only you. In the moment when you spend more time with you, you are more creative, more elegant, with your family, with your wife, with your children. The harmony is important, exactly like in the nature.
So what you're saying is when people talk about spending quality time with their children, what we should really talk about is having a quality life, not just a carved out niche, but a quality life. And that must be totally disconnected from these global corporations. And
in general, who is going now in politics is someone who doesn't know anything.
yes,
He has any job. If you ask him what you are doing,
now, this is basically true for all the politicians that were elected over the last 30 years, I should say. Before that, that may have been different. But ever since they started their Young Global Leaders program and the influence of the World Economic Forum over the UN, which is now obviously, as you're saying, totally under the control of the world, indistinguishable from the oligarchs, this influence has made it possible for them to infiltrate all layers of society with their own people.
This is correct. Absolutely.
With their puppets.
This, of course, this doesn't mean that we have to leave the situation like that. We have to have courage and to change. Yes, we have to be involved in politics, because this is a situation now which the position with who we can change. The humanity today has a big chance with this situation, because it's a chance for us to wake up. It's a chance to reconsider our life as was done by Creator for us, for each of us, from the beginning of the humanity.